Eswatini is often confused with Switzerland due to its name. It is a very different country in Africa. It's a tiny kingdom still ruled by a true king. They also have an unusual aviation law. Any device flying without permission cannot go high into the sky. When journalists asked a state official what was forbidden, he joked. He said even witches on brooms cannot fly above 150 meters. It was, of course, a joke. The law actually concerns drones and toy helicopters. But the phrase about witches spread worldwide. Now tourists visit Eswatini and smile as they ask the police. They ask if broomstick flight has a height limit. It all started when someone launched a camera drone without a license. Authorities caught him. That's when officials explained the law using the witch example. Every year, tens of thousands of girls gather at the Queen Mother's Palace for a special celebration, the reed dance. They bring bundles of reeds to repair the royal fence. They dance in bright traditional costumes. The king always attends this ceremony. By ancient custom, he can choose a new wife at this very festival. The current king has 15 wives. His father had about 70. For ordinary Swazi citizens, polygamy is almost impossible. They must pay a huge bride price in cattle. Most cannot afford this. This creates an interesting contrast. Ordinary people live in monogamous families. The royal family is vast. For some, it is pride and ancient tradition. For others, it sparks talk about women's rights. In any case, this festival clearly shows how ancient customs influence the country's modern politics. In Eswatini, the contrast between palace and street is obvious. The king holds hundreds of millions of dollars. Over half the people live on just a few dollars daily. 19 new Rolls-Royces and dozens of BMWs arrived in 2019 for the royal family. A video of trucks with luxury cars went viral. It sparked rare protests and people took to the streets. For locals, it wasn't just about cars. It showed how money is allocated in a country run by one person. Young people at a traffic light near the palace see dream cars. They realize this money could fund hospitals and schools. Instead, it buys toys for the rich. In the early 2000s, the king decided to combat the HIV epidemic with a single decree. He declared all single girls must observe 5 years of chastity and wear special tassels as a sign of purity. A man breaking this vow faced a fine of 1 cow. Yet, months later, the king himself chose a young wife from these girls and symbolically paid 1 cow. The vow was quickly forgotten thereafter. A similar story occurred with attempts to ban miniskirts and revealing clothes. Authorities threatened jail. However, the traditional open-chested reed dance costume was not banned. People protested, revealing a key truth. Bans without education do not work. The country shifted to treatment, testing, and education. These actually reduce new cases, unlike empty threats. Eswatini is Africa's last true absolute monarchy. This is more than just a phrase. The king makes all major decisions with a council of chiefs. Political parties were banned for many years. A turning point occurred on April 12, 1973. The current monarch's father dissolved parliament with a stroke of a pen. He also abolished the constitution. Since then, elections have been very limited. Sacred ceremonies and the title, Lion of the Nation, bolster the king's power. For some, this ensures stability and cultural preservation. Others demand freedom of speech and transparency in palace spending. This debate has shaped Eswatini's political life for half a century. In the western mountains lies Ngwenya, the planet's oldest mine. Archaeologists found red ochre mined there almost 50,000 years ago. Before writing and cities, Stone Age people visited Lion Cavern. They scraped red mineral from walls, ground it to powder, using it for rituals and body paint. Later, they learned to smelt iron for tools. Among today's overgrown workings, it's easy to imagine ancient masters. They transformed red earth into a symbol of power, long before our civilization. Local guides say ochre is still used in traditional rites. This tradition spans tens of thousands of years. The HIV epidemic of the late 90s and early 2000s was a tragedy for thousands of families. Adults died. Many 13-year-olds in villages then led their households, learning to cook, care for siblings, and negotiate with elders. This replaced their school and play. Neighbors tried to help, but in a poor country, good intentions often fail. Treatment and support programs eventually offered these children a chance at a normal life. Many are now adult parents and volunteers, explaining to neighbors why testing and treatment overcome fear and shame. Nkwala is a sacred first fruits festival. It vividly reflects the country's power structure. Young warriors collect special herbs and even seawater. The king tastes the season's first harvest. Finally, men hold a black bull with bare hands. This public ritual renews the monarch's power. It shows power rests on a pair, the king and queen mother. The ceremony cannot proceed without her. For tourists, it is a mix of sport, theater, and prayer. For residents, it proves the state relies on ancient shared meanings, not just laws. Some see the ceremony as a harsh relic of the past. Yet for many, Nkwala explains why the king's word remains stronger than any party's. Eswatini's economy has a quiet giant. A Coca-Cola plant produces concentrate for the entire region. It also provides a significant share of the national budget. Tourists don't see this, but officials and businessmen feel the company's every move. Talk of moving production once shook the kingdom's finances. The story is simple and instructive. A large investor can be both a lifeline and a huge risk. Thus, discussions about new industries and job creation are not empty words here. They are a matter of survival for a small country next to vast South Africa. In Eswatini's reserves, rangers can shoot poachers to kill. This is one of the world's toughest conservation measures. The law followed mass rhino killings for their horns. Fines and raids failed to stop these criminals. This rule has strong support. Guides say rare animals would not survive armed criminals without tough action. Critics argue this approach violates human rights. They say it leads to the killing of innocents. But the fact remains, Eswatini put rhino salvation above softer methods here. This debate continues. It spans animal safety and human rights. Rangers and global conferences discuss it. These are 10 facts about Eswatini. If you learned something new, like and subscribe. Don't miss our next amazing country feature. Bye.